Is Mayor live on, of course, an extremely historical evening. Now, why is tonight historical? I think you all know. It's not just because the president and the former president are going to meet in a debate. It's for several reasons. First of all, it's never happened before. This republic's been around a very long time. It's the longest standing republic guided by laws. If, in fact, we can define ourselves that way any longer, some would debate that, including me. But let's assume we are still guided by laws, at least partially. This would be the first time a sitting president debated an ex-president, whether it was his predecessor or, Teddy Roosevelt never got to debate when he ran again for president, nor, I guess, did Grover Cleveland. But they didn't do debates back then. I know we think of the Lincoln-Douglas debates as the quintessential debates, but they were for the Senate office in Illinois. The first presidential debate is probably still one of the most famous, the Nixon-Kennedy debate, which we're going to look at in a moment. But this is also historic for another reason, not quite as important, but important. It's the earliest debate that's ever taken place between two candidates, neither one of which is the candidate of the party yet. Neither Donald Trump or Joe Biden has been nominated. Now, it is in many people's mind a foregone conclusion that they'll be nominated. I would say that Trump's nomination is a foregone conclusion, if there is such a thing in life. But is Biden's? We don't know what's going to happen tonight, which is why it's so exciting, right? And a lot of things could happen. Biden could turn out to put in a performance like he did at the first debate, which was tolerable, particularly with the low bar that was set for him, and in which case he'll calm his people down. I don't know that it means he'll win the election or even win the debate. But as long as he doesn't give them reason to wonder whether he can make it to the end of the campaign, he'll be the nominee. And Trump, I don't know, would probably have to commit suicide during the debate not to be the nominee. There's literally nothing Trump could do wrong that would deprive him of the nomination. I don't think there'd be anything he could do wrong to deprive him of a chance to win. Just a question of how good a chance to win. From he's going to hurt his chances to he's going to help his chances, he could win it tonight. So that's why it's so exciting. But to say that it's a foregone conclusion, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen until this debate is over. Should Biden have some of the moments that he's had frequently in the last 2 months, the Democrat Party is on the verge of dropping him. And exactly what they have in mind, they haven't shared with me, but it sure isn't to go into a debate with a guy that has proven to the American people that whatever little brain he had left is now gone. I mean, Joe Biden never had much of a brain. I've known him for 35 years and always considered him the dumbest man in politics. Gates, his colleague, told you he never got a decision right on foreign policy. That's a hell of a statement to make. So it is kind of sad that he's going in with such a low bar, because we shouldn't have a low bar for president. We should have a very high bar for president. It is a pretty important job. And I think we found out what happens when a nitwit does it. The world, when he came into office, was at peace. The world, some people believe, is on the verge of World War III, if not already kind of slipping into World War III. And all of it is due to him. I mean, I think if Putin and the others could speak openly, they would say they took advantage of an opening that we gave them by putting a cowardly nitwit in the White House office. You know there'd be no invasion of Ukraine, nor would there have been hostilities in the Middle East. I mean, Trump left the Middle East more peaceful than it had been in 30 years. And now it's more war than it's been in 30 years. You can't have a turnaround that big. We had functionally the best economy we had in 50 years under Trump. Then we had the pandemic, and he had it already straightened out. Inflation was at below 2% when he left office after the screw up of the pandemic. It went all the way up to 9%. It's now 40% higher than it was under Trump. So Biden will say, I brought inflation down. Yeah, he brought inflation down from the historic inflation that he created to 30 to 40% more than it was under Trump. Now, no matter how much he lies about that, the American people figure that lie out every time they go to the grocery store. So there are lots of issues that are facing us. And the really interesting thing with these two moderators who are hardly even-handed. I mean, could you have picked, Ted, more biased moderators than these two? One of them's called him a Nazi. The other one has accused him of leading a revolution against America.
You'd be
don't know, Don Lemon maybe, or
well, he's not even
with that crazy man who's on in the morning with his wife. What the hell is his name? I used to know him when he was a Republican congressman. I'm actually embarrassed to say
Crazy Joe
supported me for president.
Crazy Joe Scarborough.
Yeah, I'm really embarrassed. Don't repeat that, okay? But I mean, the reality is, we're going to look at this debate. We're going to come on right after it, and I'm going to look at one thing. A lot of things, but I'm going to look at one thing. It probably is the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is if the big moment happens, right? And somebody really flubs or, let's see. But rarely does that happen, and I'm not expecting that.
What do you think of the two breaks, Mayor?
I was going to do this a little later, but I mean, no. I'm not one of these people that can't, I can think on my feet. I debated 11 times. I didn't have to have breaks. I didn't have to sit down. I didn't take a week. If I had taken a week to prepare, I'd have been out of the race. I mean, when you're running for president, you got to raise money. You got to give speeches. You got to go to charity events. You can't take a week off. Now, if you're president of the United States, how do you get to take a week off? Who was president? With Harris? I would like to speak to the vice president. Hello, Kim. Can you imagine when you get that half-wit on the phone? Well, in any event, I would say that the reality is that everything you can't possibly not realize everything's been set up in Biden's favor. I mean, the only thing that's not happening is they can give him oxygen during the debate. Now, who knows? They might. He's gotten a week to prepare without any criticism that he didn't do the job of president. Now, who would get that? There have been many presidential debates. I do not remember any president taking really any discernible amount of time away from being president to prepare. But a week at Camp David to prepare, isn't that an admission that he's cognitively impaired or physically impaired or just plain impaired? Well, in any event, we'll see what happens when he comes out after a week of not having seen the president. Maybe he'll be in a Dracula suit, or maybe they had him in a coffin like they used to do with, did they do it with Frankenstein or Dracula? They'd put him in the coffin and give him blood at night. I don't remember. One of those guys they did it with, and then he would come out like this. We'll see how he comes out after a week of hiding. Welcome back, President Biden. Haven't seen you in a week. Now, that's what a fair commentator would say. But the commentators, oh my God, they are so much on his side, it's absurd. These are two people who you could say belong to the Trump derangement syndrome crew. I know both of them, and used to think at one time they were really very high quality reporters, and they've turned into something that you used to see in Pravda. I mean, they come up with the craziest defenses of Biden. Nor do they ever apologize for Russian collusion, or how about, trying to paint me as a Russian pawn, or all these lies that Biden has told. They just buy right into it. And then they say things that are horrendous about Trump and totally untrue. So they're going to have 2 interruptions so Biden can catch his breath. They're going to cut off the microphone. And you say they're cutting it off so Trump can't speak. I say they're cutting it off because this guy can't follow a train of thought for more than 2 minutes. And I was told that 4 years ago by 2 doctors. He can't go 2 minutes without remembering what he's saying, which is a sign of his advanced dementia. And we all have seen how much worse it's gotten, haven't we? I mean, it's really gotten to be terrible at this point. So every single thing is in his favor. Plus, no audience, not a single. And of course, Trump plays to the audience much better than Biden does. What else is in his favor? Plus, every moderator that comes on afterwards, except maybe on Newsmax and probably Fox, well, they'll mostly be pro Trump. You never know. I mean, today Neil Cavuto had on that scoundrel Panetta. He has Panetta on right a day after it's revealed that a couple of those people, a couple of those 51 prostitutes who called themselves intelligence agents that lied for Biden last time and helped to fix the last election. He had Panetta on without even mentioning that. Without even mentioning, did he know that some of the people that were lying with him were employed by the government at the time? How much time did he take to review the Hunter Biden hard drive before he pronounced that it had earmarks of Russian disinformation? Gee, Panetta, what were the earmarks? Can you mention one or two, since you wrote such an important letter that could have such an impact on a presidential election that turns out to be totally false? You feel bad that you signed a letter that's totally false. Do you feel bad that you defamed someone who you actually knew pretty well, Rudy Giuliani? Does it make you feel bad that you lied about him and called him a Russian pawn, or allowed your bum of a candidate of yours to call him a Russian pawn? And why the hell am I having you on this show anyway? You're an American traitor. You're a freaking liar. You wrote it to fix a presidential election. You can't tell me you did due diligence on that. You had less than 24 hours to review it. You're just a fraud, Panetta. Oh, and by the way, all 51 of you are responsible for our intelligence for the last 20 years. Yeah. Weapons of mass destruction. Great job, pal. Benghazi, that was you. Really good job in Benghazi. Got a couple Americans killed there, just like Biden does. But none of that. Panetta comes on like he's a great elder statesman. He was part of one of the greatest frauds in presidential election history. He was a material part of it. He put his name on something that was a complete, absolute lie. And Neil, Trump derangement syndrome, Cavuto, puts him on like he's really a credible guy. Tell me that's not biased. And that's what you're going to see tonight and don't listen to any of these people that they're going to try hard to be fair or whatever. They are pleasing their bosses, CNN, and CNN wants to kill Donald Trump and me and lots of other people. Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, the people that, they're dying to put in jail for no reason other than disagreeing with them and calling them out for what they are, communist stooges. So, let's see if they stay on the important issues. Here's what the important issues are, according to, now, Ted, you put this together. Tell me what we did to put this together, what our methodology was.
I gathered some information from the Pew Research Center, and these are the top issues, top policy priorities.
As of right now. So my guess is that this would be pretty relevant to now. The Democrats are going to want to make abortion number one. Unfortunately, it isn't on any poll.
It's not even in the top 10. I put 8 on here, but if we included more, it wouldn't be anywhere on there.
So in fairness, if you were doing this debate, if I were doing this debate and it was Jones and Smith and I was, right in the middle, I would go and look at sort of an average of the top 8, 10 polls that all ask what's the most important issue. I try to come up with a fair list of those issues and devote since there might be only one debate, only an hour and a half, which really is an hour of the candidate, when you consider the opening statement, the closing statement, the questions of the moderators, very often very long-winded questions, which is not only biased sometimes, but completely narcissistic. I mean, we don't really want to hear your question, Dana, or anti-Trumper Tapper. We want like a single subject question would be pretty good. Well, the number one issue, according to this, I guess what we call average of issues, is inflation. I think everyone agrees that that's true. The second most important, very close, is crime and violence. And the third is the economy. Now, when you consider that inflation and the economy are two of the top three, I guess we fit into a Clinton election, don't we? It's the economy, stupid. I mean, that is pretty damn tight there. Then fourth is the availability and affordability of health care, which I'm surprised about, that it's that high an issue, because you don't hear that much talk about it. The fifth is illegal immigration. I'm surprised it's fifth. I would think it would be second or third, but it might actually be part of the second issue, which is crime and violence.
Especially considering how the media covers crime, right? A lot of the crime that people see are likely caused by illegal.
But some of it they don't know.
Yeah.
Very often they don't know that the crime is caused by an illegal alien because they don't tell it. And of course, lately, for the last couple of weeks, I think we've been doing a pretty good job of pulling that out.
Yes, we have.
And some of our colleagues. But that's been going on for over 2 years. Then drug use, which is sixth, which again could sort of fit into the crime, violence issue. Also the illegal immigration issue, because drug use has a lot to do with the enormous record amounts of fentanyl that Biden has allowed his friends in China, Red China, to bring in to the tune of billions of dollars for them. I guess they're making back some of the money they gave them. The Social Security system is seventh. And here's one that I think Biden put on the scoreboard for us. The possibility of future terrorist attacks in the U.S. That wouldn't have been there 4 years ago. And this comes about because of his, the Biden state police director, otherwise known as the FBI director, telling us that we got more terrorists in the country than ever before. And we have more terrorists in the country ever before, thanks to the man who's going to be debating tonight, who opened the borders with telling people to surge there in 2020. So let's see if a good deal of the debate is devoted to the economy, the issues of crime, violence, the recent surge of illegal alien horrendous crimes, attacks on women and children. Let's see how much questioning there is about Laken Riley or Rachel Marin or that beautiful young lady who was buried today, and whether they even note that Jocelyn Nangare was buried today in Houston, Texas, due completely to Joe Biden's allowing the person who killed her to come into the United States. You can pretty much make the case that not just under Trump, but under any other American president, that guy wouldn't be here. The rules that Biden did away with, that Trump put into effect, was so, the way in which he did away with the border really wiped away even the controls that Obama and Bush and Clinton had on the border. You can say that these recent murders, whether it's Rachel Marin, who was raped and murdered in Maryland, or Jocelyn, who was raped and murdered in Texas, or the 13-year-old girl who was raped in Casino Park, New York. All of these were Biden invitees. These are the people that Biden invited into the United States in 2020 when he said that people should, what word did he use? Surge to the border? Was that it, Ted? Surge to the border or flock to the border?
He invited them, yeah.
Well, whatever it was, he said something like flock to the border or surge to the border. And then as soon as he came into office, he did about 50 executive orders that did away with everything Trump had done to bring the number down to 400,000. So let's compare that 400,000 to his 3.5 million. That's where you get these people. And they all came in on Biden's watch. All three of the murderers or rapists came in under Biden's watch. And he has he's introduced a whole new criminal syndicate into the United States known as Trans-Aragua. That's a Venezuelan gang. And he's done wonders for Maduro, who will now be able to say, historically, he reduced crime in Venezuela more than anyone else. He'll join me. I reduced crime in America more than anyone else, and Maduro did in Venezuela, except I didn't have some jerk who was taking all my criminals so they could come and, kill his own citizens. We didn't have such an idiot in the world then. And unfortunately, we have one now sitting in the White House. So let's see how well these Biden sycophants, which is the only way you can describe these two moderators. I mean, I guess Joe Scarborough would be worse than Jake Tapper, right?
Right.
And I can go back to a day in which Jake Tapper was somebody, and Dana was somebody I appreciated. They were always left oriented, but they were fair. And I know you're going to think it's because those of you who are on the Biden side are going to think, but I can't tell you how biased they are. It's like they don't even think anymore. Something about Trump derangement syndrome. It must create there must be some kind of a chemical thing that happens, and it interferes with your intelligence and rationality. It certainly interferes with your common sense. So we're going to have Bruce. We're going to have Bruce on, right? Bruce LeVell.
He's entering the chat really
now. Bruce is going to be. I'm sure is going to be. After these debates, and I'm sure no matter how much they change this, they're not going to change this part of it. I've participated in this both as a debater and as a spinner, and as the chief spinner and the participatory spinner, or picking the spinners I'm going to use for me. I have no idea how much this helps. I have no idea. Because Bruce is going to come out or if I were there, I'm going to come out and I used to say beforehand, well, I know who won the debate. Sometimes it helps. I'll tell you later about the one I'm really the proudest of. It was for Bush 43. But what happens is after the debate is over,
you bring him in?
The candidates kind of disappear, usually. Well, in a presidential debate like this, they do. In a primary debate, sometimes they go out for interviews. But more or less, your surrogates go out, and then they say, this is why Trump won, this is why Biden won. Well, Bruce is going to be one of our guys, and you couldn't do any better than Bruce, I'll tell you that. Bruce, are you there?
So we're bringing Bruce on right now, and I'm going to try to get...
Well, should I take a little break, and we'll make a little money, and then we'll get Bruce on?
Yeah.
Because after all, we're not communists here.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come after the break. It's very soft in here. We might try to do it through the speakers, and if not, we'll switch to this. So we'll be right back with special guest, Bruce LeVell. By the way, Bruce has been with the president like the mayor from the beginning of 2015. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee.
All right, and we're back.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live. And if everything is working right, we're going to have my good friend and a Trump supporter since before there was Trump, Bruce LeVell.
The only time. Thanks, Rudy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you were there. You were there in the bad days at the beginning here, where they were all going over to, somebody else. And I remember having you on, and you were 100%, my friend.
It's interesting here in Atlanta. I heard you earlier in the earlier segment about just the spin rooms, and I long to be in the spin room. I was a surrogate.
Oh, you were so good in this. You were always so good in the spin room. Are they not allowing it this time?
Rules. They only want like 5 or 6 people from each camp. It's like,
yeah, well, the Biden people probably got rid of you.
Listen, CNN, they made the rules about the spin room. I don't know if they told you about it, but they say you're only going to have equally 10 and all that on each side. So, and I'm right in Atlanta. I'm at my Atlanta home, which I'm literally 12 minutes from the studio, like literally right here, Rudy. And I'm like, really? So I've been itching. So I'm just at home doing a lot of hits here, which is just as cool though. So
what do you think? What are you looking for tonight, Bruce?
Well, fairness. I messaged Jake because Rudy, I spent a lot of time on CNN back in the day. That was 1 against 4 on the panels and 2 against.
Yeah. I remember. You were terrific.
Yeah, thank you. They'll change the talker while you're about to go on live. I don't know what this topic is.
Me too.
Yeah. So
I used to be on with Chris Cuomo. Remember?
Yeah. I would do Don Lemon on the C block. Get up in the morning, do Cuomo
in the
morning, and listen. I said this. I said I said this on a couple of networks today. I said you see you got failing ratings. You had to sell the building down on Peachtree, move down to a smaller. You laid off a bunch of people, and you would think like, okay, we got 73% of the viewers going to be watching at 9 o'clock. Now's the time to put your old journalism hat back on. Moderate the doggone the debate and just stop the shenanigans. You might be able to sell some parts of CNN, but it depends on, Rudy, this as well I do. I never really took it real personal with a lot of the hosts because they do have a boss. And I tell a lot of the surrogates back in the day, I said, look, it's just TV, but they won't do that unless they're told to do that. And so,
well, no, I remember Zucker was like a dictator.
Yeah, exactly. And you see where it got them. So I'm going to be like optimistic and think that Dana Bash and Jake will like try to be the true, but you just don't know, man. You don't know what these people.
Will you agree with me that they're good people? I mean, they were good. Yeah, I really like them.
And I think that's what like I'm perplexed because I grew up as this is Walter Cronkite and that's the way it is. I mean, hey Rudy, my God, right here, Bernard Shaw, Lynn Russell, Lynn Vaughn. I knew these people here in Atlanta. I'm a Georgian, and when they spoke it and they went out and said the news, like okay, but now what have we become? So
I remember after the Bush tape came out and we had that big thing in the campaign back in 2016. The last person that interviewed me was Jake, and Jake said to me, "Have you ever used language like that?" And I said, "Well, I think the only person I know in the history of the world that was perfect was Jesus."
That's right.
And I certainly don't fit in that category.
It's funny you brought the Billy Bush situation because I remember with the phone calls, and my daughter worked at the RNC at the time. Leah, she's a lawyer now in Florida, and I remember she called me one night. She says, "Daddy." I said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I'm in a closet." I said, "A closet?" She said, "Someone said close all your laptops and cut the lights off and go home." I was like, "What?" And that was right after that went down. And then I went on ABC News and had to, go out there and deal with that. And they asked me the same thing. So have you ever blah, blah, blah? I said, I work in ministry for years and youth ministries in the hood. I've heard stuff from the 10-year-old kids, And so we all got stories about the battle, as we might say, Rudy. And it's good. It's some good.
Yeah, you have always been one of the top. You really have, Bruce. Yeah. And I love you.
Yeah.
And I think tonight, we should make some progress. I really do. And I think the president is ready. Our president is ready for exactly what he has to do.
Yeah. Well,
Convince people he can handle this country a hell of a lot better.
yeah, and really, Rudy, we've never, we're dating ourselves because I was a surrogate for Bush in '99, and I'm going way
Yeah,
back. I worked for Reagan stuffing envelopes in his campaign in high school. So, but we've never had a debate before the DNC and RNC convention. And I saw on the tape where Gavin Newsom showed up like he was the Avenger, the end game.
Oh,
like
they're waiting. No, they're waiting. They're just hoping the old man.
Super delegates.
Right.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, Kamala Harris and her and him and Hillary's got the crutches on.
I know. And they remind me, what's that group that it's the what was that the song in the 80s? It's the final countdown. It's the final countdown.
Don't Joe.
That background music. Or Dream On by Aerosmith.
I wouldn't go near them. If I were Biden, I wouldn't go near them before the debate. They might trip him.
Yeah. On another note, I had an uncle that went through that what appears to look like dementia. I'm not going to say it is on President Biden, and I stopped kind of making, I say, man. So I just started really addressing those policies aggressively in the last several months because there's a lot to work with on leaving the equipment and military of billions of dollars of equipment and cutting the Keystone Pipeline. And listen, Rudy, real quick, I challenged one of the news anchors on one of the other networks. I said, you know what? Why don't you guys go out and dig up the folks that got laid off and went to work one day and said, I'm sorry, the Keystone Pipeline is done. Go home. Go back. You'd be surprised who you go and talk to these people that had car notes and had food, bills to pay. That said, oh, I'm sorry, it's over. And they went into that job knowing that it was going to be like several year contract. Where are those people at? And most of them were minority workers. So there's a lot of stuff out there that Joe did, and that's really bad for the country.
It is really bad. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I don't think anything happens in Ukraine if Trump had been reelected.
Yeah.
I don't see Putin invading under Trump.
I want to pivot on this, man. I got to give you some kudos, man, because I met Trump here in '91 in Atlanta, and I held this out for a long time. I'm going to say this on your show. I got permission to say this. He was in town. Y'all fact check me. Y'all go to YouTube and Google Trump at Petra's Club. It's in there, 1991. That was my favorite nightclub here, upscale. We'd go there and dress up. And he was a celebrity then. But anyway, real quick, true story. He was here raising money with Marla Maples for black babies, yes, who had, at that time, they used the word AIDS. Now they changed the term, I don't want to say HIV, whatever. And he was holding those babies and hugging them. This is true. It's called Kid and Kind. Everybody fact check me. And they were here raising money to help.
I'm not.
I don't even know that. And I held this out for a long time. So why do you say that? Because I didn't want to go out there and talk about man's ex-wife and stuff. It's not my,
Yeah.
I got permission to say this. So I said it a few weeks back on the show. But it shows you the philanthropy, the love for children and people that he possesses.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So you can't get that successful being mean.
No, I have many stories like that, and I've got a few that he's allowed me. He and George Steinbrenner would give money to everybody that got injured in New York City, and they didn't want anybody to know.
Wow.
And they had a reason for it. They said it was Steinbrenner who taught him this, and the reason was that the Bible says if you get credit on earth, you don't get credit in heaven.
That's right.
And Trump would always say to me, I need all the credit I can get in heaven.
No. Yeah,
and you can't believe how many times he sent money to people and helped them.
That's true.
And
but I got
one time after the last, when they were going after him so bad, I just said it and I said, "The hell with you!" I'm telling people.
Yeah, but listen, I just commend you for your resiliency and your stamina, Rudy.
Well, thank you.
A lot of my business, I'm in the diamond business for 30 years. A lot of my friends are on 5th Avenue, 47th Street, 46th Street. My aunt lived in Harlem, and one of my cousins Upper East Side. And I remember what you had to go through and the tragedy and going and seeing the flesh and the bones and all the things you had to endure. And then, and then when you were getting attacked, one time I was on a network, he says, "What do you think about Rudy?" I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Rudy took down the mob." Did y'all forget that? It reminds me of those fights when you're fighting someone and you go, like when Muhammad Ali told George Foreman remember the rumble in the jungle, he said, "George, is that all you got?" And the way they hit you, Rudy, and the way they went after you, man, it's almost you have this like, is that all you got? And you're still going, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
And I commend you.
You're right.
And I don't know, a lot of guys come on your show, but I have to just put that back in perspective.
Well, thank you, Bruce. God bless you.
And
we'll be talking a lot.
Yeah.
We'll be talking a lot in the next couple of months.
Goodman, man, that producer and the guy you got, the Teddy.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do something together for Trump. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And I just
take care.
On the final note, Bruce, I was a rank and file guy on the 2020 campaign. And when Bruce would come to that office, he was all about business. He came in there, he kept us on our toes and made sure people were working.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and particularly you.
Yeah. And I need that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Take
Bruce.
care, Bruce. God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
That's a very, very fine man we just finished. As you can see, I'm sure you know Bruce and you've seen him, but you have no idea how big a supporter of Donald Trump he's been, and of America. Because he does it because, like I do, and you do, and Ted and Dr. Maria, who's going to be with us very shortly, this is a matter of our country. This debate is, I would say, without any doubt, the most important in American history, because it is going to determine, to some extent, how the next election goes. And if it goes the wrong way, we ain't got much of a country left. And I don't say that lightly. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back very, very shortly. Dr. Maria. Dr. Maria.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Yeah. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risk their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And we're back.
She needs a microphone.
Yeah. Back. Go ahead.
This is Rudy Giuliani, who is back with you on America's Mayor Live. And it is not true that I'm denying Dr. Maria a microphone.
Thank you, sir.
I would
Thank
never
you,
do that
Theodore.
because she enhances the show to a much heavier intellectual level than Ted and I are capable of. She, after all, is our boss. So, I have to, I've been dying to ask you this. All of this debate about whether, let me put it this way. I ask you all the time. He looks different.
Yes.
So there are times I see him and he looks like he's about ready to die.
Yes.
I mean, if you told me the next day he was dead, I'd say, gee, he looked that way.
Yeah.
Then there are times he looks okay. And even the eyes. There are times his eyes are like this, and there are times his eyes are like that. So, and his eyes are like that, like State of the Union, and
Sorry, you're making me laugh.
who knows what, a few times. So what's going on? There's no question they're pumping him with something.
All right, I'm going to make a disclaimer. I am a board certified nurse practitioner, so I'm an independent provider. I can take care of you, diagnose you,
And you're one of the best,
prescribe drugs, whatever
one of the
you
best
need. But I'm
diagnosticians I know.
caring for President Biden. So all this is theory. We do know he's got dementia. I actually think he's got a particular type of dementia, vascular dementia. But so it's got.
Tell us why you think that.
Well,
because there is a lot of people now realize this, but you told me this a year ago when you got me those doctors to do
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He had
3 years ago.
Yeah,
I think the last election was a year ago.
aneurysms, really bad ones, and he had them both removed. So they were in his brain. One of the surgeries took like 9 hours. So I think there was some like an infarct or something in that part of the brain. And so I think that's why he's on this dementia train. But as far as what they're doing for him, it's guesswork, right? There's a lot of people that think maybe he's doing the NAD treatments. This is a particular treatment. A lot of movie stars do this. I think I may have had one in Florida too. They come into your home. They give you this IV. They're coenzymes that naturally occur in your body.
And what do they do for you?
It's supposed to give you some energy, make you feel mental clarity, as well as some peptides. I don't think there's any really good research to either.
Well, this article claims he's getting peptide infusion.
That could be.
For a boost in brain function.
Yeah, that could be.
Does it give you a boost in brain function?
There's not really good research on it, but a lot of people swear by it and get regular treatments either with the peptides or the NAD.
Should they share this with people who have dementia so they can have the benefit of it?
It's not, it's not a proven treatment for dementia. I assume he's on something called Anacept, which helps kind of. You can't cure dementia, but it slows the progression. They've been for weeks now treating him with kid gloves. We never really believed he's running our government. We believe there's a shadow government. Obama's always around. His people are really
off like it almost looked like you probably don't remember Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, but it almost looked like Edgar Bergen and Charlie going like this.
I think Obama loves it too.
Say
he never left Washington.
Say more money for the Ayatollah. More money for the Ayatollah.
Yeah. No, and we all know his interview where he said the perfect thing for him would be somebody else is president, but he's got an ear thing and he tells them what to say. But
got it.
So anyways, Biden's been sequestered for weeks now at Camp David. He's had really very little contact with the White House per people in the know. And rest is always a good thing in repeating something. So I sense, and this is Dr. Maria only, I have no proof of this, CNN probably gave him the questions already or vice versa.
Yeah, they've done it before. They do it again.
Yeah, the Biden White House gave CNN what they'll answer, and they've just been drilling it. He's been resting, sleeping a lot. When he's in the White House, they put a lid on his schedule after only being in the 3 to 4 hours. If that, the guy's never done a full day of work.
You've been in the Oval Office with Donald J. Trump.
I have.
It's like a beehive of energy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Probably more than most.
Yes.
Because I've been there, with Clinton, and I've been there with Reagan a lot.
Yeah.
And Bush. His is Trump's is the most.
Yeah, there's that energy there.
And the idea that they try to make it that it's similar, that every once in a while Trump gets a word wrong. I mean, they are like in two levels of intellectual capacity. Trump is like a 40-year-old.
You have such an intellectual audience. I really love them. And I'm hoping you guys can help answer something because I actually don't get it. They do a fake stage for Biden. No, seriously.
I know.
They don't have him in the Oval Office or any place else. They do this fake stage and a fake background in like a little kid's desk. I don't get it. Does anybody know why they're doing this? Is it because they can talk in his ear? Like, I don't get the fake.
Yeah, I would say that I'm going to tell you why. I think I know why. If you remember the Oval Office, right? It's big.
Well, it's not that big, actually. You'd be surprised if you.
No, but it's big.
Yeah, it is big.
This is sort of the size of a studio.
Yeah,
This is much easier to communicate.
yeah,
The other, they'd be too far away from him to control him.
yeah,
They do that to have him in a controlled environment.
yeah.
The same reason. Now, everybody wondered, and I knew exactly the reason why. I negotiated the first 2 years, the first 2 sessions of Trump-Biden debates with Bannon, Steve Bannon and I the first time, and we just drove him nuts.
Joe, who knows? The president?
The Hillary people.
Oh, the Hillary. Team.
They wanted to put Hillary on a
Stool?
The Democrats, all they want to do is cheat. They have no other.
So what did they do? What did
They wanted to put her on a
stool, so she's taller?
so she could be as tall as Trump. And I said, yeah,
He's
I didn't even bother.
That would look ridiculous.
But I've known him for so long, I knew exactly what he'd want me to do because he thought it was hilarious when I told him. I said, okay, that's good. We're okay with that. Just give us the same one. It's only fair. So they said, okay. But they weren't thinking. So all of a sudden now, Trump was going to go up to about 6'8". And then they said, but we'll have to put an extra stool on top of that. I said, fine.
Oh,
Get us an extra.
ridiculous, right?
But I think you better get us a little, both of us, particularly her, because she's short. You're going to have to get her I'm totally straight faced. You're going to have to get her a little ladder to come up. And then they finally realized, I said, by the time you finish, we'll be at the top of the studio.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they cut it out.
Yeah. Donna Brazil gave her the question.
No, that was a debate with Bernie Sanders.
Oh, poor Bernie Sanders.
They cheated him, but
Bernie Sanders, it was rigged.
Yeah, but Bernie, you don't have the balls to fight.
No,
You're just a total sucker.
Yeah.
You're a complete rag. You let yourself get cheated out of a presidential nomination, you piece of junk.
Get the nomination.
Yeah, you're a total rag. I mean, so the reality is in the second debate, I offered to have Trump come down to the basement. I said, if you don't want to debate, we'll come to the basement. We'll debate you in the just give us a nice little spot. We need a little curtain so we can go and consult a little bit, But other than that, my guy will debate you anywhere.
Mayor, doesn't this whole debate seem weird? No live audience. There's going to be a delay.
It's all fixed.
So, right.
It's all fixed. It's all fixed for Biden.
And there should have been one for Newsmax. Like, why is it CNN and cheaters? They cheated with Donna Brazil.
I think Dana Bash and Jake Tapper are biased. Well, no, come on.
They're very biased.
So
yeah, they are.
I mean,
I do believe that. Without
how often do you get questioned by somebody who accuses you of being a Nazi?
Yeah.
Or another one who accuses you of leading a revolution against America?
So I was not going to watch this debate tonight
though.
But now, because everybody's been talking about it all day, I'm a little bit excited. But here's the deal, and I don't mean to sound like Kelly Conway, but is that her last name? Conway, right?
Yeah. Oh, I thought that's more like Biden. Here's the deal.
No, she had a book. Here's the deal.
Oh, okay.
He can just stand there. And people are going to say he won the debate because the expectations are so darn low. We've watched this guy. Okay, the two sides of Biden, right? The knowingly lying Biden, corrupt Biden, and then the very sick elderly man, right? So we're used to seeing this, and the expectations are so low that he might fall down. He's going to, probably call Trump Hillary or, like all he has to do is really stand there and just lie like he normally does, and everybody's going to say what a great job he did. Don't you think?
Yes, they will. But I'm going to tell you that works in Trump's favor, too. There is an expectation that Trump is, look, he's anti-democratic. He's a Nazi. He can put everybody in jail. All stuff that he never did when he was president, and Biden has done. And I think of all the advice he's gotten, and it's pretty much the same. The advice I liked the best that I saw in the newspapers today was from Ricky Schlott in the New York Post for Gen Zers. And I think this applies to everybody. Trump can win over Zoomers by looking alive and by appearing like a nice person. And he is. And that's what I told him in the short time that I had with him earlier today. I said, you just be that wonderful, kind, generous person that I've known for 35 years, the one who gave money to people who needed it and never told anybody.
Sounds like you.
No, I mean, this is
so kind
the guy
and-
who helped me help keep my son and I together during a difficult divorce. I mean, and the guy who used to call up with George Steinbrenner and be the first ones to give me money for New York City people who were in trouble, particularly police officers and firefighters, and say, we don't want you to tell anybody. And, you know, I ratted him out last time because he was getting hit so hard. It just drives me crazy. If Trump, you say this about Reagan, right? Say, let Trump be Trump. And if he just stays away from a few of the instincts he has to zap him back like we're having an informal conversation, he'll run away with this.
Yeah.
That's what America wants. America wants a president who can be a uniter. And he can be.
He can be, for sure.
He has the other guy doesn't.
In the radical left that's trying to divide us. And we can't let it happen. It doesn't matter really what political party you belong to, but you shouldn't be a slave to it, right? You should put your country above your political party. You should put your family above your political party. Like, how's your grocery bill? Like, how is everything? Mortgage rates going up. Pay has actually been decreased because of inflation, and inflation was caused by the Biden White House in those. I'm sad to say my own congressional delegation in New Hampshire voted for the infrastructure bill, voted for all this stuff that we knew was going to cause inflation.
So basically, Jason Riley, also from the Wall Street Journal, great advice, President Trump. You got everything against you. No studio audience, no third-party candidates, a friendly host for the other side, unfriendly host for you, microphones that can be muted. And all you got to do is just explain to them what the country was like under you, how that's our recipe for the future, and it is your debate to lose.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah.
This is not a heavy lift for Donald Trump. And if he takes it that way and doesn't try to let Biden, I learned something as a lawyer from somebody, probably Judge McMahon, when the other guy is beating himself, just shut up.
Yeah.
Let him, if the other guy's
Let him
getting
beating
up there,
himself,
if the other
right?
guy's up there and he's asking objectionable questions
Yeah.
and you want to show how smart you are and you can object,
Yeah.
it takes discipline. And I've made the mistake a few times, but I had to learn it as a lawyer. Just shut up. If he's burying himself, please go ahead.
Yeah.
And one of the things we know about him from 4 years ago, with the doctors you got from me is, and this is why I think they picked 2 minutes. It's at about 2 minutes that he loses his train of thought. And he can't remember. You know how often this happens. He can't remember what he's talking about because his loss of short-term memory is so severe. Sometimes people forget what they had for breakfast. He forgets what he's saying. Let him do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
American people are entitled to see how deranged their president is because it's cost hundreds of thousands of lives. People have died because of his incompetence. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back, Dr. Maria and I. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Be off at 9. Well, Dr. Maria and I have an announcement to make, and this is a good time to do it. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit, But next week, starting Monday, I will have a new show. This one will be here, 8 o'clock at night, America's Mayor Live. You come back, we'll be here, and we'll be doing the same crazy things Teddy and I do, occasionally with Dr. Maria as our expert and guest. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right after me, this great talent, Dr. Maria, is going to have her own show on Frank's TV.
Right. Can I do it?
Please. Well, of course.
Because you forgot to tell them, yes, America's Mayor Live will be at the normal time where you get them
made it a big hit. Thank you.
Is going to be on the Rudy Giuliani show on Frank Speech TV, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. How do you get Frank Speech TV? Roku. Download the Frank Speech channel. You can get it there, or download the app, Frank Speech TV app. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm not following you, but I'm following another famous person,
right.
Mike Lindell.
The one after me.
So the lineup will be the Rudy Giuliani show from 7 p. to 8 p. Eastern time, Mike Lindell from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., Dr. Maria show on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 p.m. Eastern time to 10 p.m. I hope you tune in. It's going to be, my show is going to be a little different, not all politics. It's, I think you're going to enjoy it, and they're going to give me an email address so you can write to me and tell me things, what you like, what you don't like, what you hope I cover.
This is a Renaissance woman. Yes, this is a Renaissance woman. I mean, I always thought of myself as a great historian, and there are areas where she knows a lot more, like Gettysburg, which we're going to show you some clips of very soon. Ted and I and Dr. Maria went to Gettysburg, and man, you knew as much as you know who, the expert on Gettysburg. I don't want to say who, but I mean, there are areas where she's a Renaissance. No, I'm a Renaissance man, but she's a Renaissance things. And there are some areas in which she really, we sort of complement each other in that respect. So the way you can do it if you want. So you can watch me on Frank's TV at 7. Frank's Speech. And you can get it on Roku. You can get it on there are whole ways you can get it, and we'll let you know tomorrow. What? Yeah, wherever you get your apps, you can get it, and then you'll see me. Now, if you don't want to come back here on X at that time, you can listen to Mike, and then you can listen to her, and we're on all night. In fact, you should know we get a bigger audience on repeat than we do live. So usually we double, and on a weekend we triple. So many people watch us when they want to. They don't watch us at the 8 to 9 o'clock hour. Yeah. They watch us at 10 or 11.
Work, at 11 o'clock, whatever it is, the next morning.
Sometimes I'm a little disappointed with the numbers. I wake up the next morning and we're triple.
Yeah.
Or during the next day.
Can I say something about Frank's Speech TV? We left WABC. And it was a horrible radio station that censored, and we didn't know it. They kind of surprised us with that information. So we had some offers from other OTT TV networks, and they had positions about this or that. We can't be censored. That's one thing, friends, you have things that bind you. You may have disagreements about other things. One thing I can definitely say that the mayor and I share, and that's our values of this Constitution, our country, free speech, and we cannot be censored. Otherwise, we can't look.
I've been through too much. I've been through too much to let them do that to you.
Biden White House did to all of you by keeping information from you during the pandemic, like not telling you the side effects of the mRNA injection. But anyways, Frank Speech will not censor us, and they're so supportive. They've given us a wonderful staff, and we're very, very happy.
Yeah, we're very thankful to Mike, and I've always loved Mike. I think, Mike is on, his advertisement's on so often this. I've told you this long before he was our boss, I guess. I enjoy his ad no matter how many times I see it, particularly the one where he looks through the
medicine cabinet, the medicine cabinet.
Heated.
I know. I don't know why you like that one.
Every time I see it, I start laughing. But in any event,
mypillow.com, code Rudy.
And we'll be back right after the debate. Within about 3 or 4 minutes, just hit X. We'll be back. We got 3 terrific guests.
Great guests.
We got 3 terrific guests, so we're going to give you different perspectives on it. You'll get mine, you'll get the doctors, you'll get Ted's, you'll get several others who really know what they're talking about. So get ready now for probably the most important debate in American history. And we're going to get to see it live. God bless you. God bless America. And I'm sorry. God bless President Trump, a great man.
More explaining to do. The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye-bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition.
Terminal. Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead.
Democratic President.
Minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.
John, employment rate rose to 15% as chairman. And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. That's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs, and we brought out another position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.